Hello everyone. This is the 12th episode of season 2 of the TTC meetup. So, in the previous meetup, we discussed what are the challenges which job seekers face while changing the job, was looking for a new job. Today, we are going to see the other side of the coin. Right? What are the challenges which people who are hiring are facing when they are, hiring for new roles or people uh, when they are having new vacancies. So we are having, I think, so. Chanda, would you like to start? What do you think? What kind of challenges the people who are hiring might be facing?
Uh, I'm not really sure. I'd like to follow, but yes, a recent experience I would like to share is with not my manager, but a senior of mine in my organization. We were having this discussion about the new hires, and the idea was that the person who is supposed to be hired on that position was expecting some 15 to 20 lakhs per annum, and the idea about the the I mean the idea from the company was the budget from the company was somewhere 12 to 15 or something. So the two challenges which basically the issue or the gap which coming is either the skill is not matching, or if someone who is having that skill or that capability is expecting so much. I mean, so that is the main challenge. I mean, this is currently what is going on in our team. If someone is good, he is going somewhat 20 or 25 as well, and end up getting not hired. And on the same side, when someone is having those skill and they are matching those skill, they are, I mean, when one who are coming in the budget are not having those skill. So that is the challenge. Either the money part, of course, is not matching, the budget part is not matching, or the skill is not matching. And like last time we discussed, people are like just they went through the job description, they found some keyword, they immediately updated that information in the resume, and subsequently they got filtered. So that is another thing. So they are not really able to say that, okay, I have really worked on so and so skill. It's just that the idea was to get their profile shortlisted. So that is the issue we are having.
Yeah, I think you made two valid points. Like, means the budget is always, in one or another way, budget is a challenge. And the thing you said that like people may be, just add the keywords. So means people need to realize, means job seekers need to realize that when we say that you need to add keywords, it doesn't mean that you need to add some keyword which for which you do not have the skill set. It means that if you have the skill set, then you should mention some keywords using which the people can find the right match. But as you said, that if people will do like this, then it will be a problem for hiring people, because whenever they will screen, at the time of screening the CV, they may not be able to find out, but at the first round they will be able to find out that they just added the keywords just to get their profile shortlisted. And
And just
it's
to add, yeah, just to add on that, since I'm working in a service based organization, for us it's like the head count. So the expectation is, if you are an experienced person, you are supposed to come and get on board and start performing from day one. The idea of the onboarding process of giving a good KT for 15 or 45 days, some organization have a structured KT mechanism. So it's not like that. Hardly it goes a week, or at max it is 2 weeks. So within 10 working days, you are supposed to pick up and start performing. So that is another thing.
yes, yes. So miss, it's for if it's as you said, that it's if like kind of a, I can say maybe an individual contributor role. That means even if the person is contributing as a team in a team, but still they need to like start
Yes,
contributing from the
yes,
first day itself. Yeah. So in
yes.
such cases, it's like waste of. So if people are doing, as you said, that if they are just adding keywords, even if they do not have the required skill set, then it's actually waste of time and efforts for the candidate and the hiring people as well. So people should try to avoid that. And I don't know how can hiring people solve this challenge, because means from CV it's very difficult to actually understand that people have actually worked or not. Until and unless you start talking with them, means have a conversation with them, then only you can find out this. Maybe they can do maybe a short, what can I say, filtering by someone from the team, means like
Um,
someone from the
on
testing team
on that,
or something.
on
Yeah.
sorry to interrupt.
Yeah,
On
no,
that,
no
a
issues.
very recent conversation which is going on, and I've been following it from yesterday, which was between James, Brijesh, and other members, about how if you are appearing for an interview, you are sending your GitHub or repo details to someone to check in advance that you have worked on something. But actually, it is not the practice that somebody who is actually taking the interview, I'll say exceptionally 1 or 2% people actually go and check those details. So that is another thing.
Yeah, because people, as you said, that checking is one thing, but also if people are not mentioning, then also how can the hiring people check out that? Because if you will see, I am not currently in the interview panel, but in my previous organization I was part of the interview panel. And even for test automation related roles, I have hardly seen anyone putting their GitHub repo there. Okay, so it's hard to determine that if the candidate is like having genuine experience or not. So maybe if it kind of means the kind of standard which we are following, like ATS and another, if people start having that as a good practice or best practice, at least for or roles where at least automation related or coding related skills are required, then a GitHub repo must be mentioned. If some that kind of practice is started, it will it will be good for both. Because if people need to have the GitHub repo, then people need to practice those skills, people need to work on that, and it would be good for those people as well who are trying to apply. Okay. Yeah, so thank you, Chandra, for these inputs. David, would you like to say anything on this topic?
Yeah, sure, Faith. Basically, I would like to start with something different, like about my experience, which I faced when I was interviewed by some other company. In fact, like all these things happened in last 1 month. So basically, I got one email from recruiter, like this is the JD, and you can apply for the interview. So I applied for the interview. In fact, I cleared their L1 round, okay, but at the L2 round, the interviewer clearly told me like we are looking for something else, okay. So like what is uh, written in the JD. So this is the one incident which happened with me 1 month ago, and the same incident happened with me 1 week ago with Virtusa, where like during the L2 round, interviewer clearly told me like we are looking for PDD guy, not for or Selenium guy. So even I don't know for which project this hiring is for. So at that time, in fact, I was shocked. Like if interviewer is not aware like what we are hiring and what is the project, then I think in such cases, company like whenever they send the email, they should clearly mention the JD, so that we can save our time as well as interviewer time. So now to start with the actual topic. So basically, the challenges which I see during the hiring, like in fact, every company is now expecting multiple roles from a single resource. For example, if you are a Selenium guy, okay, so now company also expecting like you should know functional testing, you must know API testing and AWS and all these things. But yes, it is possible like you may filter out like few candidate out of many, but it's very challenging to uh, find out. like multiple skill within a single candidate. And second issue I see with the budget because it all depends on the experience of a candidate. Let's say if I am a 10 years guy, so my expectation is very high. So in that case, sometimes HRs and even uh, hiring manager, uh, even after hiring the uh, candidate, so at last moment they have to reject, like, no, we don't have this much budget for you. So these are the few challenges which I see during hiring, like multiple skills and budget.
Yeah. Thank you, Ravi, for pointing that out. So, Miss, regarding multiple skills, Miss, I think I have been, Miss, we are seeing this trend since like maybe at least since last 2 3 years for sure, and maybe due to so some things are Miss, some JDs are still realistic. Means they are still okay. Means if they are asking for multiple skills, but the data is still what I can say near to the reality. Okay, but some are like means they want someone like Thor or Captain America. Maybe means which we
Yeah,
are not,
exactly.
right? We or Rajnikant if we go to the Indian context, so it's not possible. So yeah, I can understand that. Regarding the budget thing, means I think from hiring. So as you said, like for, many times it happens that that even that after the entire interview process, when it comes time for the HR discussion, at that time due to budget sometimes this issue happen. So can so hiring people also should so as a hiring person, so I see this challenge, this can be tackled in two ways. Either hiring people can solve this or the job seeker can solve this. How they can do this, right? If hiring people, I think means they always ask that what is your notice period, what is your current, what is your expected. They ask for all the details, but at the first discussion only they should mention about means they sometimes tell also that what are the roles and responsibility for the position they are trying to fill. So at that time if they mention the budget, so it will save both people, both parties time. And if they are not mentioning, then as a job seeker, I think at the first discussion itself one should ask for the budget clearly, because it will save both people's times and efforts. So thank you, Rabir, for making those points. Rufsha, would you like to add on this point, and what are the challenges people might face while hiring new people?
So yeah, I would like to add some points, but it might not be from a hiring perspective, but it can be from a candidate perspective. So what I can tell is that sometimes what happens is that the candidate might not be having all of the multiple like hands-on experience on all of the multiple things which are mentioned in the JD and which the company is expecting, but the candidate is open to learning that. And then I mean, if some time is spent on the candidate to get him or her trained, and then that person can contribute to it. But normally what happens is that companies do not even call those candidates, and they are not even ready to train those candidates. Now why that particular candidate has not gotten the chance is something that cannot be fully determined only from the CV, if you see, because from the CV or the resume you can only find out what this guy has done or what he has not done, only those basic points. But to go into a discussion, I mean, but to know why he did not get the chance or why he did not go into those things, so those things can only come out from a face-to-face discussion. Now most of the times what happens is I mean, if we are not adding those relevant keywords like others were saying, if you do not add some random relevant keywords, even if you are not, even if that is completely false, our resumes do not even get filtered. Now since these do not get filtered, these poor candidates, they do not even get the chance to speak their minds. I mean, like it can be that the candidate has put false things, but his only intention was to get through the ATS and face the recruiter at least once, so that he can tell his story. But that does not happen, and it becomes a mess most of the times, because because that is one thing. And this thing, I think it can be solved from the hiring process in a way that if the hiring managers or whoever, like the HRs or anyone, if at the first step only they do not start filtering out candidates, like if there are like 10 skills, and if even 9 of them are like even 9 are not matching, they start rejecting the candidates. At least take around 4 or 5 of them and then start calling, at least talk to the people. That way I think better candidates. I mean, sometimes attitude is more important than skills, because skills can be taught and that can be transferable, but if the attitude is wrong, I mean, it's a loss for the company in the long run. So that I think it should be more, and especially for people who want to switch skills. Now, for switch careers, sorry, for those candidates, the recruiters do not even consider such candidates, because they do not have the so-called relevant experience. Now, where will that relevant experience come from if the person is wanting to switch careers? And even in the JD or the bio, if that person is writing clearly that I want to switch careers, now that person is also not getting a chance. Then how can the company expect that I can make a diverse team, I can have people from different places and also fit in my budget and everything? So I would say that the hiring team should be more open to meet new people and talk to more people instead of just filtering out in large numbers. So that's my take on it.
Yeah, Dusha, you made very varied points. Regarding the first point which you made, the multiple skills thing. So what I believe is that, the hiring manager or HR or whoever people are into hiring, they should, work very closely with the department. Means it's not about just testing I am speaking. Whenever in general IT, means if they
Yes.
are, because I have seen irrelevant JDs in other roles of IT as well. So if they
Yes,
are,
yes.
so they need to be like very closely working. And like I always like to say this to job seekers, that whenever they are, means people many times get confused that which company to choose, which company to not choose, and likewise. So everyone should have in their mind the clarity that what are the negotiable and non-negotiable aspects, okay, from what they are
Obviously.
expecting. So if as
Obviously.
a job seeker we can do that, so as a hiring person also they should be having that kind of thing. And means many companies are doing that, means that they clearly mentioned that these are good to have skills, these are the mandatory skills, and likewise. So means they are doing a fabulous job, but at the same time, many companies are just copy pasting JDs, like this is like kind of
Hmm.
industry standard. And there are also cases that people do get interviewed and hired for like test automation related skills, and very advanced interview level interview has been done. But whenever they are onboarded, then they are not they do not have to do any work related to test automation. So it's like kind of means bad thing for both the parties, like means whatever candidate. And due to that JD, the people who are actually good at the testing, they may not get that kind of chance. So the hiring people need to be more realistic about that. Regarding the second point which you mentioned, I believe, miss as per my understanding and as per my knowledge, startups are open minded in that kind of thing, that if you do not have any like prior experience in a particular role, but if you are, means if you are having good knowledge, and you are you are having that capability to and you show the capability, you are a quick learner, and likewise. So as per my understanding and knowledge, I have seen that startups are more open minded in such kind of things. They just need to have good talent. But the bigger companies mostly, they need to have they are having some different criteria. And I'm not blaming them as well, because their requirements would be like that only, that people must be experienced in this, because the roles and responsibility would be only that particular kind of that. But if someone is looking for a change in a different role, then maybe they can look for maybe medium sized companies or startups. That's what I believe. So thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, well, so yeah, I agree with you. But again, the thing comes that how much of the budget do the small companies have in training and training and educating people? Because obviously the budget which small companies and the startups have in total is always less than the big companies. Now, if the big companies themselves cannot take that risk of hiring some candidate and then training them and then bringing them up to the speed, then obviously, I mean, I have seen like I have interviewed with startups also where like, I mean, obviously you might be having more experience than me in such situations, but whatever little that I have seen, like they are also not very open. I mean, they are always looking for some people who already know all those things and have hands-on experience, and like that
Yeah,
is, I
yeah,
mean.
yeah. That could be the case. So, in startups also there are like different kind of companies. Means there are different kind of startups.
Obviously.
So some startups are like open-minded, some are not. So, means startup is a very, like I can say, generic term. Means many companies means like to call themselves a startup, and they are startups. It's not like they are trying to bluff or anything. But as you mentioned, it actually depends, because there are many startups which which are paying more than MNCs as well. They are having budgets more than, because they are funded by good VCs and all that. So it actually depends. Means what kind of where you are trying to apply in startup as well. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Brijesh, would you like to add something? I think you must be having, so much experience in hiring. So, what do you want to add from challenges point of view?
Well, I was hoping that we would have more hiring managers in this call, but looks like everybody is having a busy Sunday or a lazy Sunday.
Yeah.
It can be either of the two. Well, so the topic itself is very interesting because uh, it was about a week ago or so. I saw this tweet from one of my very good friends, AP, Aprajita Mathur, and she lives in the US. She is hiring currently. Hi, Sailesh. Good that Sailesh also joined. So Sailesh will have very interesting perspectives because
Yes.
he has been hiring consistently. So I saw this tweet, and that tweet read that she was hiring, and she was surprised to see that for a 0 to 5 years experience range, the kind of testing knowledge, the very basic testing knowledge that she was looking for in candidates was missing, because every candidate had automation skills, but zero testing skills. Zero testing skills. That is a real challenge for a hiring manager today. There is so much focus on automation that people have forgotten about testing completely. That is a challenge. The other challenges that people have mentioned, albeit from uh, the perspective of a candidate, also hold good. For example, uh, hiring for multiple skill sets. As a hiring manager, if I am looking for somebody, I will always look for a jack of all trades. I will always look for somebody who has all the skills. Okay, I would always look for a Rajnikant. I always want, because that fits in my budget. I don't have to pay five guys. I can pay only one guy and get the job done. But how fair is that on the candidate is something that I have to think. Will I actually get a Rajnikant if I go out and look for such guys? Okay, then sometimes our project have complicated setups, have complicated tech stack. So is it possible really to get one guy for that entire tech stack, which may be very complex in nature? We are in the day and age of, you know, DevOps pipelines and things like that. So DevOps pipeline, there are a bunch of tools which are very complicated. Okay, so what we want is our tester should know everything, all the tools, right from gathering requirements to finally, monitoring and feedback on the right side of the DevOps loop. Person should know everything inside out. So they will say, oh, you know what, we need somebody with knowledge of doors for managing requirements. We also need somebody with knowledge of good monitoring tools on the right side, and everything else in between. Okay, we need knowledge of CI tools, we need knowledge of CD tools, whatever. So as a hiring manager, that will be my best interest that a guy knows something, if not everything. Okay, or most of the things, if not everything. As a hiring manager, my challenge today, very practically, is number one, people lack testing skills. Number two is people do not have patience. They want results. Even as a hiring manager, I also want results. Okay, but here there are people who are looking for a job change, who want quick promotion, quick salary and growth. Okay, who are looking for instant gratification. That is an issue for me. I do not know that the people spoke about, sometimes people add keywords to their resumes. I do not know if the keyword that that somebody has used in the CV to get past ATS, how do I validate the skills? So you are right, that in context of the Indian job market especially, I don't think people do enough research on the candidate or on the organizations that they're coming from. Okay, I do not think the hiring managers do enough research in terms of uh, saying that a candidate really has that skill or not. Okay, is do if he's saying that he has worked on say for example a BDD framework using Selenium. Okay, it may be the case that none of his projects that he is working on currently actually supports BDD with Selenium framework. Okay, he's heard just that term and included it in the CV. How do I validate that? Have I really gone checked? Okay, people are obviously that there was a comment, I don't know who exactly made it, that I think Faiz, you only made it, that people don't include that bit, the GitHub link in their CVs. People don't want to showcase their work because on one side the job description says you must have proven experience of so and so. How do you prove that experience? What is it in your CV that is actually proving that experience? Okay, when I as a hiring manager look at CVs, I see project descriptions, very very long project descriptions, telling about what the project is and this and that. I am not interested. I don't want to know about your project. I want to know about what work you have done. Okay, I wish Naveen was there in the call today. Okay, Naveen did an excellent series of YouTube videos on how to present yourself and showcase your work using the STAR method. I think in one of the previous calls also we did that. And I remember doing a call with Naveen, did a live session with him where he asked me a question as a candidate. And it must be there in one of the recordings. I don't remember which episode it was, where he asked me a question as a candidate. Okay, and I was supposed to answer his question, showcase my work. So I tried to answer it as best as I can using the STAR method. Okay, a lot of people in India do not know what the STAR method is. It is situation,
I
task.
don't know.
Yeah, situation, task, action, result. Four things, STAR. Okay, so when you describe your project, when you describe your work, I know you want to get past ATS, but at the same time, when you are describing a project, when you are talking in the CV or in the interview, do you always describe what was the situation that you were dealing with? What was the task that you performed? Or what was the task that was given to you? What were the actions that you performed? And what was the result out of it? Four simple sentences that will cover your entire project. You don't have to write history. Nobody is interested in knowing what you have been doing for so many months, years, and or what the project is about. I see Rupsha has raised her hand. Rupsha, you have a comment to make. I'll pause here for a bit. You want to make a comment, Rupsha?
Yes. Sorry, I was speaking on mute. Yeah, correct. So now what you're telling is that of describing, I mean, the star method. I mean, I wasn't aware of it. Yeah, you told. So now I see. Now the thing is, what you're telling is to present, like, instead of putting more description on what the project is, to not it is meant to specify what I as a candidate did on the project and how I helped the project move forward with my contributions,
Correct.
if that is correct. Now, from a tester, I mean, I do not know obviously about the developers or the other roles in IT company,
Mhm.
but from a tester perspective, if someone is not into automation tools and these things so much, so will there be really any major difference project to project? Because for project one also he is say writing like I am writing test cases, test scenarios, and then executing them and then reporting at the end of the day. So this is normally what a manual tester's day-to-day work will look like for the entire 4, 5, 6, 7 years of his career if he is not moving into automation at all. Now, how do I make any change in that without being repetitive?
That's a very good question, Rupsha. Uh, you can lower your hand. Uh,
How to lower? Yes,
go to
lower.
that. Yeah.
Yes.
Chandra. Okay, Chandra, I will respond to Rupsha's question and then come to you.
Yeah, go ahead then. Yes.
Yeah. So Rupsha, that's interesting. Okay. So in the star method, which I spoke about, now star is just one of the methods of
Okay.
talking about your project and your work. What is basically required is every project that you have worked on, you may have performed similar kind of actions, but every project will have its unique situation. Every project will have its unique set of tasks that you are supposed to do. Even if the tasks, let's assume, for the sake of this discussion, are similar, okay, will have different actions and different results. The results cannot be the same for every project. Okay, if they are the same,
Yes.
if yeah, there is a probability that in a lot of cases there is a similarity between the results of two projects, but the situation and the result will always be different, in my opinion, of all the projects, irrespective of whether you are testing it using a tool or testing without any tools. Doesn't matter. Okay, the point that I'm trying to make is, as a tester, what is the value that you have added to the project? Okay, what is it that you bring to the table which is different from any other tester? Do you have a demonstrated experience in something that you are specifying? Okay, so for example, if I say that, okay, I worked on an insurance project, I was testing a piece which was for claims processing. Okay, I worked on a project, so that's why I'm giving it out of my CV. Okay, I worked on a project which dealt with claims processing. It was an insurance U.S. healthcare project. Okay, and we were working on mainframes. Okay, so it was a project, but then there was a similar project that followed right after that. It was very same in nature, different customers. The situation was different because in one project we did claims processing, the other project was claims payout. Processing and payout are two different situations. Okay, and sometimes it's processing, payout is also included as a part of the processing thing, where there it was exclusively just the payout, because people were starting to see errors. Somebody was getting paid out more, somebody was getting paid out less. Sometimes people were complaining that they were not getting the money that was coming out. The receipts were not right, the invoices, whatever had to be sent out was not right, or whatever. Okay, so there were a lot of issues. So like that, when you start describing your project and you describe the exact situation, you will definitely see variations. You will definitely see and that is where you have to be very clear about what you did in the project, what was the project about, what was expected out of you. it is very rarely that there can be a situation where two projects will have similar expectations. Okay, it's and if you say for all the projects, I wrote test cases, I executed some test cases, and I reported defects. I I don't think that that's doing justice to your profile, because as testers we do much more than that. Yeah. So that's my response to your question. If you have a follow up question, please hold that thought. Let go to Chandra first before he forgets what he was trying to say. Chandra,
No,
your turn.
I somewhat relate to what just she said. Describing your project is okay, but actually, I mean, at 5 6 years of experience, if I'll not say I've been following you guys, I would have been saying some 1.5 years ago, I would have been saying that I was reading requirement, I was writing test cases, and I was executing it. The thought of I should upgrade myself to automation or so came just a year ago, and I'm working on that. But there is this bias about the job role and the tech stack which you have. There are companies, if you are, suppose if I'm fortunate enough and I'm working on Oracle technology, say EBS, and I got to work with companies like directly with Oracle or some good companies like Emirates or Fly Dubai, they will pay me some 12 to 15 lakhs of 5 to 6 years of experience, even though I'm not doing the automation. And on the other hand, there are companies, even when I'm doing Selenium and automation and everything along with my functional testing, they are paying me somewhat 8 to 10 lakhs. So this gap of how many years of experience you have and what tech stack you have, still there is a great gap, and people are biased. I mean, the hiring manager are also biased there. At the time when there is a requirement, you will get hired immediately and have a good amount of money, but at same time, that averaging balance, or that what I say, the maturity point, that okay, if you have this, you should at least get this much. So that is a great difference, and there comes the problem. So my question to you, or even Salesh sir also, is that how you guys decide that, when apart from the budgetary constraint, how you guys decide that okay, if you have this, you should get this much? I don't want a generic idea of years of experience multiplied by 2 or so, but
Doesn't work.
there are Selenium guys who are on 5 or 6 years of experience getting somewhat 18 to 20, but there are same Selenium guys who are 10 plus years of experience, more or less they are good, but they are working on 10 as well. So how to fill this gap, or understand the saturation point, that okay, this is the idea you need to follow?
I will let Salesh sir answer that question. Salesh sir, first, what number one? Okay, before you answer Chandra's question, number one, as a hiring manager, what are the challenges that you face, and then you can answer the question from Chandra. Hey, welcome, Rakesh.
Sure, sure. So yeah, so the challenges I faced actually the moment I joined, I was reading what you mentioned that time about a different tech stack, and we need to consider that something as a hiring manager, we don't know what are the things and all. What I am facing is I absolutely agree with you that these are the skills that we require nowadays. We need a person with manual automation, etc. And like, I mean, if I talk about myself, now we came with a logic that we need SCP now, not SDAT. It's a software engineering case, a person who will be working on the functional testing part, writing test case, executing the test case. Same test case which he or she has written will be like creating automation stories for that. The same person will maintain those CI/CD pipeline. Same person will take care of all the localizations, and also like everything came into the picture. Some bit of knowledge in CI/CD, some bit of knowledge in Docker, DevOps, and all this, like all this Azure and all automation, etc. So main challenge that is, see, more than 45 minutes to 60 minutes, maximum 60 minutes is should be okay for any interview. If you are going beyond that, it will be very exhausting. Candidate will be also not able to like answer after like that much of time. How much you can assess within that time? That's a challenge. Another challenge, like if I start with automation, because the very much pain area nowadays is everybody is mentioning automation in their resume. They have seen some videos on how to explain the automation framework, how to answer the automation interview questions. So if you start with what you have done, they will nicely explain you that. So that is a direct catch that they don't know much, but they have like seen few videos. They have done some kind of, they have do some ratta and all, and then they are just answering that. So you have to go in some backward direction just to make sure that the person actually knows something or at least able to work on automation using Google. I am not expecting anyone to be expert, but yeah, you have internet Google with you, you should be able to do that. But I don't want to groom you because you are coming with, let's say, 5 year experience automation tester or something. So when I do that particular part, half of my interview has been done. Around 10 minutes I need for the cultural fitment and all this tech. Right? So now I have hardly 15 minutes left where I ask something on manual testing, and I don't like to ask the direct question. Instead, I ask what you have done, and from there I ask the question. That why you have done or how you have done. If that instead of this, if that is the situation, then how you will act and what will be your suggestions and all. So within 15 minutes, I said someone that how good with the testing mindset or testing reference sequence or something, which is that's a challenging for me nowadays. Even I'm giving some tests to the people. I put very simple question over there. Let me just give that example that you are given a triangle. How many maximum check you apply to say whether the given triangle is equilateral or not?
That's a very good question.
Right? I have 4 options, 1, 2, 3, and 5. 70% I'm getting 5. Then I ask why 5? Then 3 check for just check that all 3 sides or 3 corners are okay, and 2 are some positive and negative. I said, where does positive and negative come in your picture? My requirement is very, very clear that you just need to say that whether this triangle is equilateral or not. If you come that first check is whether it's a triangle or not. I said, boss, I am telling that it's a triangle. That's already there. So what I want to assess there is that how many test cases you will write when you get the actual requirement. I don't want flood of test case. I don't want only single test case. Some with 1. I said, why 1? I check all 3 sides. I said that these are 3 checks, not a 1 check. So no one very rarely I got the answer which is 2. That's the right answer. That if two angles are similar, third is always going to similar, which is a mathematical formula. So we need to bring mathematics also into testing when we are doing something. So, but I am not able to get something. When I discuss those things, it takes again 5 minutes. So that's the challenge that I'm getting. That somehow I am ending up with a good automation tester, but not a manual. Okay. If I go for manual testers, I got someone who is not good with automation, and then I have to listen to my management that okay, give the guy what is that your evolution.
Okay, so Shailesh sir, how would you respond to Chandra's question? Why do you see that varies
Sure.
for the same skill? For the same skill,
I have some questions for Chandra for that. So what I have seen is he has some comparison. 8 lakh, 10 lakh, 20 lakhs, 5 years, 10 years, this knowledge, that knowledge and all. So okay, so if we are comparing Chandra, so we need to go for best then in comparison. So which is the company giving the highest salary in India? Let's talk about India according to you.
So, I mean, if I'm working with Intuit or Google, they'll pay me well, or the startups like
let's say you are working with Google with 6 years of experience. How much they will pay you?
So I mean, the idea is that if I'm, if I am.
No. I mean, according to you, let's say, what is your assumption? I'm not cross questioning. I'm actually just discussing. So, if you with 6 year experience, Google, how much it will pay you? Let's say 50 lakhs.
Yeah, somewhat.
Okay. Now, anyone from the audience would say that I can have this X company can give me 55 lakhs also with same experience and same skill.
Yes, I even agree that
So,
you can give.
okay, so that is one of the answers that you should not compare, because you will always find another company giving best than whatever you are currently getting for the same skill, same experience. There are
Sir,
some other factors as well.
yeah, sir. Actually, why I asked this question is
I'm
because
Shailesh, I'm not sir. I'm Shailesh, I'm not sir.
okay, Sailesh, why I asked this question because my idea was that the recruiter who is recruiting is also somewhere biased about how he's doing it. Why? Because recently I had this discussion with one of my senior. He said, if you are a functional tester and you are having some automation skills, say Selenium, and little bit of what I say, Amazon Workspace also, the cloud and everything. So you are not someone Superman. You'll hardly get 10 to 15 lakhs. You need to be extraordinary in Algo and DS to really cross that 15 to 20 or 20 to 25 barrier. My point was, I
And,
agree,
mhm.
but that bias, that thought that okay, since you know automation, everybody knows automation, why I'll pay you 20 lakhs? So that is the challenge. So
That's what I'm telling.
yeah,
Yes.
if we are on that point, I will be actually offer shopping. I'll not be really targeting the company to really work and have that environment and everything. I would like to have an offer in my hand. I'll go to another company and then I'll move to another company and maybe the fourth one. So that it's a bidding, and one who will bid highest will get the offer.
You block. You there?
What's your audio? Chandra is on mute.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway, yeah, Chandra. So that is what I was telling. That for any company, or like not for any company, for any job you heard about, like see, everyone has their own parity. And what when you hear that okay, this person is getting X and this person is getting Y, we don't know what are the factors. It's not only the skill or the interview. It's that what is the situation. Sometimes company needs someone very badly, so they can give 5-10 lakhs more also. That could be one reason. Another reason person is going with offer shopping. You never know that someone is going with 6 offers, one offer, then another offer, and something. We just mentioned that in one of the meetup that someone he got with 240% hike and with the sixth offer. So if someone is just getting something, we will get something more than Google or Amazon is providing with the offer shopping. So there are multiple factors. There are factors on the what is the location of the company, right? Someone is from the tier 2 city getting let's say 10 lakh in his own company, his own city. We'll be getting let's say 15 lakh in somewhere in Bangalore, which is less than 800 kilometers away from his home. Then whether again it makes sense to him or not. So, and salary should not be the only thing. You should think about your growth, your satisfaction level, what is your work-life balance, where you will be in the same company after 2 years, 5 years down the line, how much you will enjoy the work, and all these things. Definitely, financial is the main thing. But once you get what you need, if you have asked the company that okay, you are at 5 lakhs and you have asked any 10 lakhs. If you are getting 10 lakhs, that is something you want. Now you should not then start changing your mind. No, I am eligible for 15 lakhs. Because you should assess yourself that okay, what I can get. And you should search for such company which will give you that particular amount. And you should be there without just checking other people how much they are getting. Otherwise, you'll be always disappointed. Because you
Right,
can
right. That's a good point. Well, we have Ramit sir also, who drives an iPhone. Ramit sir, uh,
Wow.
welcome first of all. Uh, it is great to have you here. So your thoughts on the subject and on the discussion, sir.
Namaskar, everybody. Namaskar, Brijesh sir.
Namaste, sir.
Okay, so it's a very interesting discussion. I have a couple of perspectives that I wanted to bring in. One is the perspective from the business side. It is not about how much you expect or how much you deserve or anything. It is about how much business can pay to a tester.
Correct.
If I'm earning only X amount, you cannot expect me to give you 2x or 3x or 4x.
Right.
It's a very simple mathematics, isn't it? If I'm, let us say, I'm just giving a hypothetical figure, don't take it to your heart. Let us say if I'm earning 1 million from you, uh, I have to see my expenses on HR, operations, building, overheads, salary, and then in all that, there will be support staff who is helping you, your laptop, your other things that you need, in your business, your growth as a organization, your training programs. And after that, whatever is left, I have to see, how much my organization can keep a profit margin and then decide on your salary. So it's a very simple mathematics if you look at it. Now, the other perspective is from the person who is getting a salary. Uh, uh, it all depends upon, whether you should do job shopping or whatever name you want to give it, in respect of, the money you are getting. It all depends on you. What are your targets? Why you did engineering? Why you didn't do a graduation in, let's say, arts or science or anything? Why did you opted for an MBA after your engineering? It all was probably because you thought that this kind of education will bring more money to you. So if money is the target, what's the question of, job satisfaction and all that? If somebody gives you more money, take it, as simple as that. As
Right.
far as learning is concerned, who says you cannot learn in a better salary? I think you can learn even better if you're getting, more salary. So if you have 4 offers, take the best offer.
Yeah.
Uh, the only challenge to this will be the culture of the organization. Sometimes you might get into a bigger salary, but then the culture of the organization can be against the way you are as a human. For example, Shalish, my friend here, is a test manager. Now, if he is a person who gives freedom to his team, for example, and the organization's culture is a micromanagement from the manager, keeping a tab of every minute of the tester's work, then there are cultural clashes, and that brings dissatisfaction. Otherwise, if there is no cultural problem, I don't see why you should not take better salary. After all, end of the day, your kids and your family is not going to ask you how much you know about APIs, or how much you know about, Amazon, or how much you know about any other, AI or ML or anything. End of the day, they are going to ask you how much money you have in your bank. That's a truth. The 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 early we realize this truth, if you are into materialistic world. If you're not into it, then that's a different discussion altogether. Okay, so I hope that clears the point of salary and all that. Learning, my friends, is all upon you. Okay, salary should not define your learning, but the learning should not define your salary. Your goals, life goals, should define your salary, and for that, opt for it. If you want to earn good salary, you will have to do more hard work, you will have to learn more skills that will give you more salary. But what is your life goal? That will define you. That is, I think, on both sides, from business as well as, testers perspective, and that is where I end it. Thank you, everyone.
Sir,
Brajesh, sir.
sir, one question.
Yes, sir.
I know you touched upon some very good points. So I just wanted to ask you and bring it back to the center of the discussion. As a hiring manager in today's date, what kind of challenges have you faced or are you facing?
Sir, as a hiring manager, most of the hiring managers today are not clear on what they are hiring. Okay, their objective is for functional testing, and they will start asking questions on, let us say, automation, or they will start asking questions on performance, or they will start asking questions on anything. There is no, see, when I started my career, and when I started, I got into hiring very early in my life, thankfully, meeting the right people at the right time at the right place. I started IT in 2003. I was into hiring from 2006. I was taking interviews. I remember working with Vipul Kocher. We will hire a person. Vipul will give us very clear instructions on that. These are the 5 skills I want. Please focus your interview on these 5 skills. Anything apart from these 5 skills is a bonus. It should not happen that in these 5 skills, person doesn't know anything, and rest of the things, person is a Superman. I don't need that person.
Right.
It was a services industry based, hiring. For a product industry based hiring, it is even more simpler. Look at the qualities you require. First, you should focus on those qualities, and uh, the interview should be more doable interview rather than theoretical interview. Give challenges to the person. My interview for the companies that I run right now, my interview generally lasts for at least a week. Now somebody, Shailesh was probably saying 35-40 minutes. My interview is a week interview. Why? Because I will ask person couple of basic things on the things that I require in a person, and if the person shows some inclination towards that, or person shows that he is, one of the biggest things I check today is learnability. So I will give the person a challenge, and I will ask that person, give me a time, what time you will take to come up with a solution. I understand your job and everything along, and then after a week or something, the person will show me the solution. And if that solution is on the lines that it is not necessary to be on the lines that I have a solution in mind, but if it is a solution that triggers some thought process and says that this is the right line, or the person has gone in the right way, I hire that person. I don't have a second thought after that. So it is not just questioning and answering. For example, Shailesh, nothing to say against you, but will the person check equilateral triangle on the project that he's working or she's working on? If not, why to ask a question which has no meaning into the work that the person is going to do? Probably, if you have, let us say, a product that you are testing, give a problem that your team is facing in the product and see if that person comes up with the solution to that. I think between the two questions, product question will have more weightage than the person able to tell you about 3 test cases or 5 test cases about a triangle challenge. I hope I'm able to get my point, because sometimes I put these points and people find it in a the tone they find it's very harsh. I'm not here to claim what you are doing is wrong. Please understand it. Hand folded namaskar on that. But I am trying to put up a point across that objectivity is something which is now missing. So I hope, Brijesh, I've given you your answer.
Yes, sir. Shailesh, you want to?
Yeah. So I just want to say that to the Ramit sir. I agree with your point, and all I just would like to add that I told about that questions, but yeah, we already have one question on that product. The one was problem statement from our product as well, where we are writing to just what kind of test that you will apply for that. So I mean, I really like few of the points you have mentioned, and I'm not only judging with this triangle things. That was one example that I gave. But I really like that you just pointed out to that particular front. I would like to sir, ask more when you said this week interview time and all these things. So I really like that idea, and just like if I want to implement somewhere in my head process and all. So it's like, I mean, you schedule multiple interviews, or it's just that problem setting you there and you give some time, something like that. How? I mean, if you want, you can catch up online, or if you want to share it here, whatever.
If there was a question to me, I was not able to understand the question.
Sir, if I may just, I think
Yes,
I
please.
to the question. Shailesh, let me attempt to paraphrase the question. What Shailesh was looking for, sir, is uh, about the interview pattern that you just mentioned. That your interview sometimes lasts a week, or maybe longer or shorter, depending on the candidate's response. So is it a series of interviews that you do, or how do you make it that pragmatic? It was the question from Shailesh. Was I right, Shailesh?
Yes.
Yeah.
So for a similar kind of situation, Shailesh, you tell the person, take your time and send me the solution. When you say a person, take your time and send me the solution, that answers that you get, there are a number of factors that come in. How many days this person took to give me the solution, how innovative the solution was. For example, I'll tell you, I was hiring a marketing guy. I don't just hire technology people now. I also hire, since I'm running companies, I have to hire, different kinds of people now. So I was hiring a marketing guy few days back. So I gave, two people came for the interview and I gave them similar kind of problem. I said, I want to find who are the rivals of, market rivals for my product in the market, especially in the Indian market. And I said, take your time, get me the answer. Both of them replied me after 3 days. One person gave me a list of all the rivals. Somebody's mic is on probably. So, there was, where I said, here is the problem and you solve it. One person gave me the list of all the organizations or all the companies which were already in the same space or which were aspiring to be in the same space in the next 2 years. Whereas the other person gave me a list of all these things along with the products which are already in the market, what features are in these products, what features are against our product. So competitive analysis of our product against the rivals product, the packages that these guys are offering in the market for the similar kind of products. And this guy had already taken a demo of 2-3 rivals and said, here is the demo. Now I would like to see your demo to see if our product is competitive or not, and then I will decide whether I want to join or not, because now I have a better understanding of your area. So if I have to select now, isn't it that I have found the right person now? Now it doesn't depend, say my marketing budget is open now. If a person can bring me such kind of data and the other person only brings me a list, it becomes such an easy way to select the person whom you want to hire or put on board. So similarly, for another situation, technology problem, I automation testing hiring. So I said, okay guys, theoretically you 5 guys are same. We are on a call, a Zoom call where all the 5 people are on the same call. I said, you guys are competing against each other for the 2 openings that I have for the job. Now find a problem, find a and send me the answer. Now
Sir,
there you
sir lost it. Sir lost it for a bit.
okay. So I'm saying that what I did with these 5 guys was that I put them in a Zoom call and I said, now design an automation problem for yourself, find a solution for that problem and give me a POC, take your time. It is even more challenging because people have to find their own problems.
Correct.
Now who comes up with the bigger problem and a better solution is my choice for hiring, as simple as that. So you have to be innovative today in today's market, and when you give such kind of situation to people and then you give them lesser salary, they are ready to work with you than a person who is going to give higher salary, because they find you are different.
Correct.
So that is how I solve the challenges, sir. There is
Absolutely.
no fixed
Other than the
silver
last
bullet.
point, other
There
than
is
the
no
last
fixed
point
silver bullet.
that, yeah, if you give some such problem, or even if you it is also from the way how you treat the candidate on the interview and all, how you give them the confidence that okay, he is going to work with someone who is good, who also know technology, because generally people have that mindset managers are not technical.
Yeah,
So
that's
that also
absolutely,
makes sense.
that's
That makes difference. Right,
that's
right.
absolutely
And
true.
thank you, Ramit sir, for just showing this way. This will be really helpful.
Oh, this is gold for a lot of us. Okay, Rakesh, you've been on the call for some time, and usually it's hard for us to let you be quiet for such a long time. So, Rakesh, what are your thoughts?
Hi, Prajesh, and hi, team. Namaste, all. My thought is that initially, when I searching any jobs, uh, first our goal should be achieved. Means not salary. So we should learn as much as possible, not only automation things, through functionally also. And suppose I am working in banking sector. First priority, I should go to banking sector. Means that if I am jumping to another company, it should be banking domain. So I enhance my skill there. Then second priority is my automation skill. and I should learn automation skill not like only tool wise, other other sector also nowadays booming like Azure and AWS means learning curve, and my goal should be matching to the organization. Then I choose that organization. Definitely salary also matter, but first priority that time as per me.
Okay, fair point. Sanket, you want to add something?
Hey Brijesh, I just joined at the end of the call, so I just really cannot ask anything.
Okay, so what we are discussing today is the topic was originally what challenges do we have with regards to hiring. That's the problem statement. But then we also heard a different perspective, that is from a candidate's point of view while getting a job. So, what are your thoughts on the subject?
So in fact, I am myself preparing for the interviews right now,
Okay.
and sometimes I do take interviews at my in my office. But the challenge which I face in my office is like they give a limited period of time. Like as sir told that he gives problem to the candidates and give a week's time. Whereas in our company, they are not even trying to extend the interview time period. Like they just give me 1 hour session and you have to just shortlist the candidate, whereas I tell them that we should at least have 3 rounds, or before shortlisting the candidate and sending them to the client for the interview for the final round. So this is a challenge which I face in my company. Yeah, also, I can't say about the other trend right now, which is going, because I haven't given any interviews from last 5 years. So it will be quite a challenge for me to go out and search a job. Yeah.
Oh, I think that's a good point that you have made. So, just in probably a little bit in line with what Ramit sir mentioned. Uh, I also got into hiring roles quite early in my career, and I've always believed in being more practical than doing a Q&A interviews, because if you do it in a question answer mode, it appears more like an interrogation than an interview, and I myself don't like that format. So as a hiring manager, I also try to look for factors that make the candidate a little different. And my approach initially was to give a problem statement. I would ask them to go to SourceForge, and from there, you know, because there are a lot of open source projects available, so I would ask them to prepare test strategies and write a bunch of test cases to do some testing, send their test report if I'm hiring for a particular test role. In automation, this idea of finding your own problem was something that I don't do, but I generally give them a problem statement and ask them to give me an automation strategy and a test architecture based on what can be done about that problem, and how do you solve that problem. Okay, and I would, if there are five guys, I would give the same problem to all five of them, and ask them how differently are you going to solve this, or what is your approach. That is what is important. And yes, it is not a 1 day process or a 30 minutes or a 1 hour process. It takes time. Okay, generally my turnaround time was it was time boxed to 1 week. I would not have it open ended, because obviously we have to think about closing the positions as soon as possible. Now, when it comes to the money that is associated with a particular position, I think Ramit sir clarified a lot of points. There is one more point that we have to remember, that when we are talking about money, it's also about the place and the current state of inflation, which is a totally external factor which also makes a lot of difference. Okay, so cost of housing in Mumbai versus cost of housing in Pune is different. Okay, they are cities on either side of a highway, but it is very different. Okay, so the salaries in Mumbai will differ from the salaries in Pune for the same skill set. Okay, plus also there are factors such as availability of resources. So if in a place where resources are scarce and are less available, my salary criteria may change compared to a place where I may get more candidates for the same position if I put out a vacancy. So there are multiple factors. It is not, and this is probably in response to Chandra's question. Okay, so if you have the same skill set, it is not that it is depending on a certain things, or somebody is biased. The market depends on a lot of things. Okay, and certain things are out of control for the company as well. For example, the way the market is behaving currently in terms of cost of living and stuff like that, because all of that also gets factored in. Okay, and the other things that Ramit sir mentioned about the capital expenditure, the operational expenditure that you have, then uh, the budget itself is a big question. Okay, profitability is another aspect that needs to be looked at. So there are a lot of parameters that go into deciding salaries. So as a hiring manager, I should be in a position, and I should know about that information before I put out a hiring request, or during the entire hiring process. I need to fix that, because I need to understand what is my capability versus what the candidate is asking for. Okay, and it is a fair question to ask very early to the candidate in terms of what he or she is expecting as salary. And similarly, from a candidate side, it is a very fair point to clarify very early in the interview process about the budget that the company has and would like to pay, or clarify that, okay, this is my expectation, so that you don't go all the way till the end where you have this last HR discussion where you are like, saying, oh, you know what, this salary won't work. Okay. I was having a chat with a friend yesterday, and what I realized, and that friend happens to be from HR, okay, back in India, and I told him that I'm sorry to disappoint you, but I want to tell you something, that in India, and I'm going to make this statement. I know that the recording is on, but in India, in my experience, what I have seen is while we expect negotiation from the candidate should be open to negotiation on the expected salary. What we see from the HR side is bargaining, and there is a difference between negotiation and bargaining. Okay, so that has to go off. It has to be negotiation from both sides. I know that the hiring managers want to hire in the lowest possible cost, but at the same time, the candidates wants to fetch the highest possible salary. And like Ramit sir said, there is nothing wrong in looking for a higher salary. Now, I know that some of you may say, "Hey, Brijesh, you keep talking about offer shopping, and you shouldn't be doing." My problem there is, and I want to clarify through this meetup. My problem is when people do not respond back to other companies from where they have taken the offer, and keep them waiting till the last day. That is where my problem is. My problem is not with somebody getting 5 or 10 or 15 or 20 offers, okay, or getting a change in 500% salary or whatever. That is not my problem. My problem is when you don't inform that you're not going to join somebody. That way you are blocking the opportunity for a lot of people. You're keeping them in lurch, okay, and they keep waiting for you, thinking that you will join them, and then in the end you don't join. That's kind of upsetting.
Brijesh,
Yeah.
I have a small question. Maybe
Yeah,
you or
Chandra.
Ramit sir can answer.
Yes,
So the
Chandra.
question is, nowadays startups and even some organizations also in the form or the submission process, they ask a question. You want to change the job because you want money or you want learning? What is the answer according to you guys? Because I want money. I want to learn, but I want money as well.
That should be your answer then.
But
I mean,
it's
that's what I would say.
it's not
I mean,
it's not a checkbox, it's a radio box.
You know, a smart answer to that question is, but for that you have to be a little bold. I will not advise that. Is that when I will start a startup, and if you want to learn, you can join me for free.
yeah.
Who will work for free? You know, people. You know, these questions actually, you know, force people to be fake about themselves. You know, people
Correct.
fake them things. You know, in the interviews.
Correct.
This is not a right question. If I have to ask a similar kind of question, I will say, hey, there is great learning here, but I will not be able to offer you money right now. This is what I have done. So next year, probably when, you know, I get the funding or, you know, I have better revenues, I will be able to offer you this money. But learning wise, this will be a great place. Do you still want to join us or not? And more or less people have, you know, agreed to it, because end of the day, you know, salary is an exponential rise if you are, you know, in the right direction. It is never a linear thing. You know, it's not a linear curve. You suddenly hit a tipping point one day in your career, and I will not quote the number, but when I was in Mulya, I got a salary offer which was 5 times or 6 times more than what I was getting in Mulya. Okay. And for a person like me who doesn't comes from a very fancy college, a person whose grades have never been not even average, you know.
Sir, we lost you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, now we can.
Okay. So I said I'm not from a fancy college. My average score in engineering is 48%. And I was being chosen over an IIT Delhi candidate, and they were ready to offer me 5-6 times the salary I was getting in Mulya. But by then I had already decided that I want to start my own. And I'm not earning even what I was earning in Mulya, but I'm happy right now. So at this point of time in my life, happiness is more important. So end of the day, it is all about you, what you want to do. If one person asks you this question, find another job. There are plenty of them available right now in market. Get the salary which will give you satisfaction.
Yep.
Otherwise, you will find another job in some time and there will be no stability in your career. So find a job which brings you happiness and peace of mind, both from the learning as well as the money side. See, India, we are not in a Western country where, you know, you are on your own. We have our own social pressures. We have parents to talk to. Now, assume you get 20 lakhs offer from one company and 30 lakhs from another company, where your parents will force you to go. So
obviously 30.
So now you cannot say your parents, no, in this 20 lakhs, I'm getting a lot of learning. You know,
Forget about
if it is recording, I am open to say it. You know, then, you know, you are bullshitting yourself and you're bullshitting the word, saying that, you know, I will not take a 30 lakh offer against a 20 lakh offer. I will take a 20 lakh offer.
Correct. More than that, sir. Forget about parents. It's a lot of peer pressure also. You know, I want to show
Obviously.
that I am earning more. Okay, I will. And what do I say to my wife? Forget about parents. Okay, she'll be like, "Are you dumb? You want to join the 20 lakh offer instead of 30 lakhs?" So there will be pressure at home. I mean, forget
Yes.
about somebody else. So
Obviously.
yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. I mean, yeah, until you find yourself that job that gives you the salary that makes you happy, you will always keep looking for it. Okay, and that will always be a challenge. Okay,
And
like I was
there is
saying,
another, Brajesh sir, to add to your point, there is another side to the story. Someday in your life, someday, maybe when you have, you know, earned enough and you are content, like only few handful people in the world, let us say you get the money that you want to survive in this life, and you want now to do anything, you know, which can be learning or anything else. believe me, 80% of the IT Janta will go out of IT and will do something else.
Correct.
The day you have that much of money in your life. Okay. So, so I don't know where, this money versus learning comes in. I am not a big advocate of learning our money. I know a lot of gyan has been given in this world on this topic, but I am the one who says money is important in today's world. You cannot close your eyes, be ostrich and say, I only want to do learning because it sounds fancy. Don't do anything which sounds fancy.
No, I completely agree with you, sir. But what I was saying is I was trying to clarify my position, because I have spoken a lot about offer shopping, and I've been criticized personally. Okay, saying, what do you always talk about? People will look for more salary. I agree, people will look for more salary. I don't have an issue with that. But as long as you are keeping other companies in the dark, that is a problem. If you don't want to join somewhere, inform them. That's my only point. Okay, inform them that you are not joining them. Don't keep them hanging till the very last day where
Totally agree. 100% in agreement on this. There is no doubt that, and it has to be from both sides.
Yes.
Brijesh, I had written a LinkedIn post on this. I got 346 resumes few days back for a post I put on LinkedIn. Every single person got a reply. Every single person.
Yeah.
And there was an update. Not just that I have sent your resume to client, there is a feedback coming in. And finally, when the position was filled, all 346 people got a reply from me that, hey, the post has already been filled, and thank you for taking time for this. And if there is something else, you guys are in my priority list. That way, people want to work with you.
Yes.
There were surprise replies. We have never got such kind of reply. Oh, you took time to do this reply. I would surely would like to work with you in the future. Oh, this is never expected. So, when you do gyan on LinkedIn and other stuff, for, meets like this, but you don't follow it in your day-to-day life, people will find that, there is only gyan on LinkedIn and nothing else. There is no substance with the guy. But when you follow it in the places where nobody is watching you, then people start taking you seriously.
Exactly.
And that is where, as a hiring manager makes a difference. And people would love to work with you in those situations where even if you're not offering money, people will work with you. But that's a totally different trajectory that we are, talking about right now. Right now, the focus is on candidates. I think money is important. So if you get an offer, inform everybody that I'm not taking your job. Thank you very much for your time. But inform them so that they can have a backup ready, because end of the day, that hiring manager, that HR also has a job. And you should,
inform them on time. Inform them on time.
Yes.
Yeah, don't keep them hanging till the last day of your notice period or whatever. Okay, on the day which is mentioned as joining date, on that day if you inform, it's not going to do your world of good. Amutan, brother, you joined very late, and somehow I didn't see you. Now I see
Yeah,
you
yeah.
there.
Hi Brijesh, hi everyone. I have just joined. Yeah.
Yeah, so I know that you've also been in hiring manager position. So what are the challenges that you faced as a hiring manager?
I think to be frank, I faced a lot of candidates who fake their profiles, which I could really sense within a minute of reading through it. And then they come and tell, okay, I have been working in automation for 4 years, which I could practically, if I ask them some questions related to automation, they struggle to do it. Guys, that's, what I want is let them be little frank, right? So I was a manual tester, or I was doing only testing with, not using any automation tools for some time. I have learned all of them. I have tried to do some automation using some tools. I have contributed to my GitHub repository. I'm gradually working on my skills. No, I just want them to be really frank about what is their status, right? So we can actually give them a role according to that, right? They apply for a test lead or test consultant position, and then they come up and says, I have 4 to 5 years of experience. When I ask them a simple question in say Java or Selenium, they're not very comfortable with it. Again, another thing what I feel is they dictate what we need to ask them, right? they're telling I'm attending an automation tester interview, and why you are asking questions from exception handling. Okay, seriously, I got one of the reply from one of the candidate, right? I'm not asking you complex things. I just asked you one simple question from exception handling. You could not do it. So the incompetent candidates and the fake profiles, I think, they are not ready to accept the fact that they couldn't clear the interview, right? So I was once in a position that I could not clear an interview, but I tell to myself, yes, this is my reality. I am not yet capable enough. I need to upskill my skills. Okay. Once then you get into the learning path, we learn a lot of tools, we upskill ourselves, and then we should apply for the positions, right? So the reality is people fake their profiles, but that can be easily found out from interviewers. They can easily understand this is a fake profile, and they are not competent enough to apply for this job. Maybe some other job will suit their skills best. They need to choose and rightly pick their jobs. If they are incompetent to that particular job, they should accept it, right? Even though it is harsh, sometimes they need to accept it. They actually come and ask me for feedback, right? I'm not good at providing feedback, because that is a separate skill you need to have. But what I can tell them is, maybe this is not the right position for your skill set. Maybe you need to apply for a job that basically suits your skill set, right? Yeah, so I'm not worried about people doing a lot of shopping with their offers. I know, I plan it accordingly. I choose two candidates. I clearly tell them there is one guy who's already shortlisted for this particular position. If he withdraws at the end, maybe we can think about your name. That's how I reply. I normally choose, if there is only one vacancy, I normally keep two peoples in the shortlist list, and I manage them accordingly. But only two things: please apply for the roles that you think you are relevant, and don't fake your stuff, right? It wastes time in your side as well as the company side. They spend efforts in conducting the interview. That's the two things that I feel should go away.
Very honest. And
Brajesha, with your permission, can I simply add one thing?
Please.
So I understand fake profile, but let me tell you or give you a perspective of why fake profiles or why fake information is coming in resumes. So while I was listening to things, I found a job in Naukri with a JD of 0 to 2 years of work experience as automation engineer, 0 to 2. And now what I need, understand the requirement, write test cases, review the test cases from other team members, effective and efficient communication on issues, objectives, initiatives, and performance, strong knowledge in JavaScript, Python, Perl, Ruby, strong in scripting programming, write the requirements, understand the requirements, nice to have experience on TFS, MTM, HPQC, HPALM, understanding of Agile Scrum and can lead a Scrum role, knowledge of SOA testing principles, interpersonal skills, should have good communication, should be self-driven, motivating, and then it ends here. There is then professional skills and extra skills, methodology skills, and what you will be working on is just one line. You'll be part of a digital testing team performing system testing. Okay, now you understand why there is so much of fake profiling or why there is so much of fake information coming in resumes, because we are, and I am hiring. So sir, it is not against what you are saying. I understand fake profiles, but we are trying to hire a Superman who can throw a net like a Spider-Man, who can drive like a Batman, who can go underwater like an Aquaman, who can do things like a Superwoman, who can be as hot as any other Superwoman girl in the market, and who should be simply able to come home and do wiping and cleaning stuff and wash utensils as well. Now, that is the core fundamental problem with industry right now. I'm not blaming anybody here, but and then on the top of it, when this person will ask that, here are the skills, here are the things that I have, I will need 25 lakhs. The same people will say, who pays a fresher 25 lakhs? This is not Google. Okay. So that is where a lot of fake things are coming up in India. Plus there is pressure from family. People are out of a job. There might not be any onshore, hiring that would have happened in the college campus hiring. People might be out of a job for 1 year, 1.5 years sometimes, and they might be desperate to get into a job. So we need to, I think the industry should do recruitment now based on what I am, trying to come up with my company, Iron Tech. I am trying to bring a, a system which we are calling as empathy driven recruitment. So empathy from both sides, recruiter's side as well as the person who is trying to apply. And there are a lot of fundamentals we are trying to change with our clients at least. And things have gone really well. So our JD should be much more practical, and our candidate selection through resume should be much more practical. And we are giving feedbacks to our candidates that, hey, at your experience, this is not possible. For example, somebody at 2 years of experience says, created test plans and test strategies for the organization. We know you are faking it. We tell people directly, this is not possible at your level. If a company is creating a strategy on a 2 years experienced person, that company is destined to go into whatever the word you want to use.
No,
I hope
I completely get your point, Salesh sir. I think Amutan made a very fair point about fake profiles. They are floating around a lot, and you are absolutely right, because the job descriptions are like that, and that's why I keep going back and saying that it all comes down to what you are seeking and what you're putting in that job description. I started this discussion quoting a tweet from Aprajita, where she said that she was hiring for testing positions below 5 years experience, and she found that people are full of knowledge with automation and stuff, but testing basics are very poor. You know, the so she was having that problem, and then I asked her, that can you look at your own JD and see if there was a problem with the job description where you did not even ask for a testing role. So the CVs that you got were all expertise in automation and with very less importance on on testing. And her response was that she should have created a version 0.2. So that's what it is. Thank you, Ramit sir, for joining. I know you need to leave. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.
One thing I would like to say what Ramit mentioned, I tried those things, so I would like to just share that experience. That some few of the time I share some such feedback to candidate that okay, this is not possible. Maybe it's like this is in that particular time you can within, like, let's say as you mentioned within 3 years you worked in test plan. It's not something feasible. You might be faking or something and something like that. What happened is when the candidate called HR and they said that okay, I got such thing in the interview and the interviewer was rude and all this thing. And those things then reach out to my manager that okay, you need to tell Silas that being more good with the candidate. So again, if you, I mean, sometimes what happened, that is one of the challenges, that if you try to be transparent, if you try to give actual right feedback, candidate will take it in wrong way, and they will give the feedback to recruiters, and recruiter will not come to you, they will come to their boss, and their boss will come to your boss. At the end, we are working as a tester. We have some, like 90% area is some other thing, 10% is in recruitment in RPT. So, and maybe some other people also have such experiences.
No, I hear what you're trying to say, Salisu sir. It requires a lot of reform in the way we recruit candidates. Hiring also needs a lot of reform, and setting up expectations with the candidates, providing feedback. A lot of other things are also there. So there is a lot that goes on. It's not a one-way street. It has to be from the candidate side also. It has to be from
Yes, yes.
the side also, because hiring, in my opinion, is a lot like an arranged marriage. Okay, and for that arranged marriage to be successful, for it to be mutually beneficial for both parties, there is a lot that needs to improve from either sides. It cannot be that okay, you expect candidates to stick to certain way of thinking, Candidates will always look for more in terms of salary, in terms of responsibilities and things like that. But at the same time, when you as an organization are putting out those job requests, pay attention to what you are asking in the job description. What is it that you actually need? Okay, what is it that you have planned for the growth of that candidate? A lot of times there is no growth plan. We hire people. I have asked this question personally. Okay, when I go for interviews and they say, okay, what do you want to do in the next 5 years? This is a typical question that is asked in a lot of interviews to the candidates. And then when they ask me, do you have any questions? I ask them, you asked me for my you know state in the 5 years time. What I have a follow-up question to that. Okay, what is your state in 5 years? What plans do you have for me for the next 5 years? Okay, do you have a growth path for me? Do you have a career path for me? These are the questions that are important for a hiring team to already work on and keep ready when the candidate is coming on. I have seen, job descriptions which mention clearly that there is a career roadmap. Okay, if you join us in this position, in the next few years, it may lead you to this particular position. Okay, it is clearly mentioned in the job description, which excites the candidate. Oh, you know what? If I join this company, even for a lower salary, they have a clear roadmap for me. At least they have that clarity of thought. People mention excellent training budgets and they leave it at that. And we all know, in all honesty, what happens to the training budget. Okay? In all honesty, when we need training on something, we keep asking our manager time and again, sir, iski training dila do, but it never comes. Okay, when we say, okay, we want to attend this meetup or this conference, please let us go to that conference. How many times the companies sponsor candidates to conferences? In India, I have seen only maybe one or two occasions in 15 years that I worked in India that I was actually sent to a conference. The company said, we have the budget, we will let you go. Here I have worked with a company who had a dedicated conference budget for every candidate. They could attend at least 3 conferences in a year, including hotel stay. And that is the extra perk that they are giving to their candidates. He said, we want you to learn. Okay, if the candidate comes tomorrow and says, you know what, I've started working on API testing and I want to get deeper. I see that there is a paid training session coming up from so-and-so and he or she is an expert. I want to learn. Can I go and attend? I have seen companies paying for that training because that is what is required. That will keep the candidate happy. Okay, that is the right utilization of the training budget. So it is, of course, from both sides that we have to look at. Okay, I somehow have a love-hate relationship with HR. That's what I will call them, because HR is a function that needs to do a lot of reforms in a lot of organizations. It has to be supported by of course, the operational management team, which is there, and there is a lot that has to happen. Well, I think we have overshot our time by 14 minutes. I hand it over back to our host for the day, Faiz. Faiz, any closing comments?
Can I have one comment?
Yeah, please.
Sure, sure.
Okay. So when the last point you mentioned about that HR or recruiter or something, and one thing actually just that is in my mind since the time Chandra has told that recruiter being biased or something like that. So the recruiters they are the really poor guy in the company, especially when it's a big company. They don't know what this requirement is for. They have been told that they need to just this is the JD. From this JD, even they don't understand every JD because and it's obvious that they are nobody can understand every JD. I cannot understand any JD from the SRE team or Java team or something. I can only understand QA, and they are the technical recruiters. They do the keywords, they search, and they just do that. Even they don't have anything in their control on salary. They don't have the budget. If they have been told it's 10 lakh, they cannot go beyond that and all. So there are so many things. They are rescheduling interviews, which is what they are doing. They don't want to do that. In fact, it's a panel who do that. Okay, I cannot take the interview. I get some meeting. And there are so many things. So those things need really an improvement. And like just like maybe me or you, we are the people who are lucky to work in the company where we are able to get the idea about the roadmap, get the idea about what the position is. For all we are the one who creating the positions. But in the MNCs where the panel who is taking the interview, he or she don't know that for what project the position is or what the candidate is going to do after that. He has been given the JD. Even the second panel, manager interview round, sometimes they are not aware that what the company is going to do with this candidate. They have been told that they are just taking interview. Maybe face them, give some more input on that. Anyone else? So yeah, lots of reform is required, especially in India. Otherwise, there are gaps at every level, recruiter level, panel level, and candidate level. So I agree on that.
Yes, I would agree with what you have said, Shailesh, and I would agree with everything what Ramit and Bridges have said. Means there are so many things which needs to be changed when we say from hiring space, we can say. And like it was a good discussion. Means last Sunday we discussed what are the last Sunday we were focusing more on the candidates perspective. This Sunday we tried to thankfully you joined, Bridges joined, and Ramit joined. So we need to so we got the real experience, means what you guys are facing when you are hiring.
And
So
I
it,
have to
it
say
was
this, Faiz, just 1 minute. I have
yeah
to say this. The point that Amutan made was absolutely spot on.
yeah
There
yeah
are
Amut.
so many fake profiles floating around. It is huge. And of course, the reason for that, I partly agree with what Ramit sir said, but a lot of it is also peer pressure. You know,
Yeah,
if it is if my friend is doing that and getting so much money, how do I get so much money? Oh, because he has selenium in his profile. So even if I don't have selenium, I'll include it because it increases my chances of cracking an interview. And in one of my LinkedIn posts, I spoke about
And Guru 99 will help me with ready questions to answer.
Even for the fake, even to get rid of fake profiles, now hiring manager is creating some practical tests, some tests and all, which people are also getting it solved by the people in 2000, 3000.
no, I'll tell you something, Salesh. Okay, so day before yesterday, I wrote a post on LinkedIn talking about the importance of learning testing alongside learning automation concepts. Okay, and in that, I saw a bunch of responses which said, "Who needs testing concepts anyways? We just need automation concepts because they help us get clear interviews, and that's all we want." Okay, so there is this mindset which is focused on just clearing the interviews. They don't care about testing or what you want to do in the organization. They just want to crack that job interview, get that job, and then month on month they will collect the salary. That's it. Or at least get the offer so that they can shop for another offer based on whatever they've got. That's all is the interest. So what are we talking about? Learning, testing, and all of that. So we have to look at it from that perspective also. And this perspective is wide open in the market, and people are saying it openly. Now, I don't give a damn to all testing concepts and all that. I don't want to test. I don't want to do what they call as manual testing. I don't want to do that because I have learned automation. That is my skill. That's what I want to do. Okay, I saw another post where one guy was clearly saying, I don't want to do manual testing. He said, it's below my dignity to do that. What do you mean by that? Okay. Or they say, oh, it is not something that I want to do. I don't want to go click, 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 click. That's what is the perception that has been built. Okay, that manually you are doing that. I can write good code. So my response to that was, then stop calling yourself an automation tester. Call yourself an automator. That's it. Because that's what you are. You're not a tester anymore if you don't want to test. I mean, first of all, I don't ratify manual testing as such, because there is no such thing. Okay, but that's a separate topic and a separate debate. Okay, but then the point is that the mindset that people have developed towards a certain thing, how do you deal with that? And that is also a challenge for the hiring manager now. Okay, candidate point blank in the interview, they will say, oh, you know what, they will ask, okay, if you ask them, do you have any questions? Okay, so what kind of projects do you have? They will ask. We have this project. Okay, so what is the scope? Then you will say, no, you may have to do some functional testing initially. Oh, you want my automation skills, but you will put me on a manual testing project. I'm sorry, I cannot do that. They'll simply say that. Then what do? So, while we are talking about reforms from the candidate side, from this side, we have to also consider what is going on in the market from a candidate's perspective.
Also, people ask that, okay, what percentage of automation I need?
Correct.
I actually cannot answer this thing. I mean, even till that, I am not able to understand how I can divide something in percentage, 50% manual or 30% manual. I mean, I started my day at 10 o'clock, so I need to stop at 1 o'clock with manual testing, and I start with automation, something like that they want, or they want 2 days automation and 3 days manual. I really don't have idea about this.
So if somebody asks me that, if somebody asks me that question, my reply to them is, okay, so in your learning, what percentage of your learning was automated and what percentage was done manually? Did you learn something in an automated way? Or did you learn everything manually? If you learned everything manually, then you have the answer. There you go. So that obviously reflects the attitude of people coming in. But yeah, that's a reality. Okay, we have to face it. There are a lot of
Once,
things. Sorry, go ahead, Shailesh.
I mean, I was telling once my recruiter, one of my recruiter team member told me about some candidate. He has 6 years of experience. Out of that, he worked with 3 years in automation testing. I said, how do you know? And I asked every candidate that, what is your number of experience in automation? I said, please don't ask such question. Just ask number of total experience, because there is not like how many years in the manual and how many years in automation. Because I clearly understand if it is a 3 year, that is an on and off. Very rarely it comes like purely you are into something. And if someone is purely into automation, we cannot afford such candidate, because I cannot offer 100% automation work to that candidate. We don't need, like you say, automator.
No, in any case, there is no tester around the world who can claim that they do pure automation work. It is not possible. Okay, if they are not testing whatever they are doing, and I don't want to use the word manual. Okay, if they are not testing what they are doing, then they are not true to themselves. It is not humanly possible for anybody to stick to that kind of a role. Okay, yes, if you want to be a pure automation, if you want to claim that, okay, you're an automation expert and you are in a pure automation only role where your job is to just write scripts and things like that, make it explicit in the interview, in your CV. Make it very explicit that is what you like to do, that is your area of expertise. Okay, I only write code for tests. I'm an engineer who is willing to support testers build an automation framework. Okay, make it explicit. But still, if somebody is claiming that they do it 100%, it is not true. I'm sorry. I mean, then people may disagree, but that's what I think.
Yeah.
Anyways, over to you, Faiz.
Yeah. So means you both made very good points. And I think that the topic which you discussed means it require at least one separate discussion. We can maybe do a series of discussion, because there are means lots of things why such things are happening. There are different perspective as well. I am not blaming people who are asking for what how much percentage of work they will get into automation and why, because there is a reason for that as well. So it means it's a very multifaceted problem and deep rooted problem, I can say, and it will require maybe a series of discussions especially dedicated on this topic, that why means one should not hesitate for testing and what actually testing is. So it's like means it can be an endless discussion as well. I don't know means what
Maybe,
to say.
maybe we should do the next discussion on this subject. Carry this forward.
Yeah, we can do that. We can do that
Let's
definitely. Yeah.
let's let,
So,
let's talk about it next week, and let's close this
Brijesh,
discussion now. Sorry, David.
I would just I would just like to add one point, like what you were saying about manual and automation testing. Basically, to be honest, I have my personal experience during one interview, like at one company. I was explaining him like I do like test case creation, test case execution, and requirement analysis. What interview told me? He clearly told me, stop telling me about your manual work. I don't want that. Just tell me about what you do about automation. So in that case, how should we react? He told me clearly, I don't want to listen anything about your manual experience. Just tell me everything about your automation. What do you do? This is another challenge.
Well, that's fine. That's fine. So at least he has his priorities sorted. Okay, he knows that he's looking for automators. He's not looking for a tester. Okay, so I would put it that way. That okay. So what I understand is that you're looking for an automator, and if I have any such skills which I can highlight, I will highlight those and then leave it up to that guy to take his call. But I would respond in the way that the question has been put across to me. Okay, if somebody asks me that I don't want to hear about your manual experience, obviously, me being me, I can get into a debate, but I don't want to get into a debate in that situation. I will give him what he wants, okay, and then let the decision be, and I'll make it clear. I'll paraphrase his question that you're probably not looking for a tester, you're probably looking for an automator, and as an automator, this is my experience. Okay, so then I'll leave it up to him.
Yes. Yeah.
So basically, in fact, like being a candidate from manual plus automation, it's a challenge for us as well. Like just to explain our manual work, then automation.
No,
Because
it's see, the moment, that's why I keep that is why I keep emphasizing on the hashtag nothing called manual testing. Okay, you have to understand that you cannot divide testing into manual and automation.
yeah,
Okay, once you understand that, once you get that ingrained into your blood, that you cannot divide testing into automation and manual, you will be very easily be able to respond to such questions. Okay, you will not say how can I showcase my automation skills or anything like that. Okay, you will rather use a language which will say, okay, this is my skill set in terms of or this is my tool set that I know of, and these are my skills, programming, scripting, whatever, to support the tools that I know. Okay, this is what I have done in the past projects. This, use the star method or whatever, if there is anything else to explain that situation and what you did, what was the result. Okay, as a result of the automation that I brought in, there was 30% reduction in feedback time, or the product was delivered 30% faster. The release time was shortened. Blah blah. You can show so many benefits. Okay, so that's the way I think you should put it across.
okay.
Well, I think we are well over our time. 30 minutes. That's long. I really appreciate your patience.
Yes.
Fez.
Yes. Yeah. So yeah, it was like very good discussion. We had discussed about what the challenges hiring managers are facing, what are the challenges, what kind of challenges, little bit on what kind of challenges candidates are facing as well. And it was, I think, to summarize, what we can say is that the recruiting team, the department for which the hiring is being made at the candidate. The whole communication between all three of them should be like more collaborative and more open. It can be one of the start to the reform which is required, especially in India's job market. So I would like to thank you all for your time and giving your inputs. I would like to request you to switch on your camera so that we can take a snap, and then we can maybe end this call and you guys can continue enjoying your weekend.
Chandra was ready, sitting. When can I switch on? You should have switched on long back.
Yeah.
Ankit, Rupsha, can we have you guys on camera, please? Okay. Thank you, Rupsha. Thank you, Sanket. One more. Thank you. All right, cool. Thank you so much, everyone. Faiz.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone. Yeah.
Thank you. Bye.
Yeah. Happy Sunday. Bye, everyone.
Bye.